Good evening, guys. Wow, just wow. And I really don't know what to think of this. I have to look at this in a lot more depth. But Roman Abramovich has suffered a suspected poison attack, a chemical poison, excuse me, attack. It's everywhere. BBC, Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich suffered symptoms of suspected poisoning at talks in Kiev earlier this month. Sources close to him say the Chelsea FC owner, who has now recovered, reportedly suffered sore eyes and skin peeling. Two Ukrainian peace negotiators were also said to have been affected. The Wall Street Journal reported claims that the alleged poisoning was orchestrated by hardliners in Russia who wanted to sabotage the talks. These are the talks, by the way, that came out before Rome was sanctioned by the UK government. Something's not right here, guys. It really isn't. The conditions on Abramovich and the Ukrainian negotiators, who included Ukrainian MP Rustem Umerov, have improved since the incident on the 3rd of March. The paper quoted sources as saying a source close to Roman Abramovich told the BBC he had suffered symptoms of suspected poisoning. They said he had now recovered and was continuing with negotiations to try and end the war in Ukraine. So he's still part of the peace negotiations. It's quite incredible, this, isn't it? You know what I mean, when you think about it all. Earlier on Monday, Mr. Umerov tweeted that he was fine and urged people not to trust unverified information. Well, normally I don't trust the BBC, I've got to be honest. The incident casts light on Mr. Abramovich's reported role as a broker in talks between the Ukraine and Russia. The exact nature of his position is unclear, but a spokesperson for the oligarch was previously said his influence is limited. On Sunday, President Zelensky said Mr. Abramovich had offered him help to de-escalate Russia's invasion of the country. The Russian billionaire travelled between Moscow and Kiev for several rounds of talks at the start of the month. He reportedly met President Volodymyr Zelensky during the trip, but the Ukrainian leader was not affected and his spokesman had no information about the incident. The investigative journalism group Bellingcat said Mr. Abramovich and the negotiators suffered symptoms consistent with poisoning with chemical weapons. The symptoms included eye and skin inflammation and piercing pain in the eyes. Meanwhile, an unnamed US official was quoted by Reuters as saying that intelligence suggested the sickening of the men was due to the environmental factors, not poisoning. Mr. Abramovich has since been seen in public, being pictured at Israel's Tel Aviv airport on the 14th of March. Mr. Abramovich was sanctioned by the EU and the UK earlier this month, not the US though, over his alleged links to Russia's President Putin, which he denies. But Mr. Zelensky has reportedly asked the US to hold off from sanctioning Roman Abramovich, arguing he could play a major role in negotiating a peace deal with Moscow. The Kremlin has said Mr. Abramovich played an earlier role in peace talks, so they've even verified that too, but the process was now in the hands of the two countries' negotiating teams. The two sides are set to meet in Istanbul on Tuesday for their first face-to-face peace talks in more than 2 weeks. On the evening of the 3rd of March, Roman Abramovich and the Ukrainian peace negotiators met in Kiev, right at the heart of the Ukrainian territory. What happened next is very, very mysterious. Later that evening, 3 of them, according to the investigative website Bellingcat, suffered symptoms of nerve agent poisoning. They had inflamed skin, irritated eyes and severe pain behind the eyes, symptoms which lasted all night. None of them had eaten anything more, according to Bellingcat, than chocolate and water. Chemical weapons specialists have examined this case and concluded that they believe it was intentional. but we have no idea who did it. There is no claim of responsibility. Inevitably, people will be wondering if this was the work of the GRU, Russia's military intelligence service, who Britain concluded did the Novichok Salisbury poisoning. That was around about the same sort of time, wasn't it, where Roman was lost his visa, or couldn't get his visa renewed. There is no word from Russia and no proof as to who was behind it. Somebody, it seems, wanted to send a warning to those taking part in the peace talks. There was not a lethal dose, it was just a warning. So it could have been lethal, and he could have been dead, I guess. But it was done really to basically say, look, you know, here's a warning, take heed. The suggestion made by an unnamed US official that environmental factors were to blame is very odd. Nobody else was affected by these very serious medical afflictions, which Bellingcat's investigators concluded were the result of an intentional use of a chemical agent. It would hardly be surprising that the US would want to dampen down suggestions that anyone, especially Russia, had used a chemical weapon in the Ukraine, as this could push them into retaliatory action that they are extremely reluctant to take. And this is pretty much everywhere, guys. The Wall Street Journal, it's the main headlines. The Guardian, Abramovich and the Ukrainian MP may have been poisoned this month. Sky News, Roman Abramovich and the Ukraine peace negotiators were reportedly victims of a poisoning attack. The Daily Mail, Abramovich suffered suspected poison along with the Ukraine peace negotiators. Sky News again, The Telegraph, The Independent, The Times, and all the little ones like Metro, etc. In the Wall Street Journal, the Russian oligarchs developed symptoms that people familiar with this matter blamed on hardliners in Moscow who they say want to sabotage peace talks. Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich and Ukraine peace negotiators suffered symptoms suspected of poisoning after a meeting in Kiev earlier this month. Mr. Abramovich was blinded for a few hours, according to a person familiar with the matter. The people blamed the suspected attack on hardliners in Moscow. They said they wanted to sabotage talks to end the war. A person close to Mr. Abramovich said it wasn't clear who had targeted the group. Western experts who looked into the incident said it was hard to determine whether the symptoms were caused by chemical or biological agents or by some sort of electromagnetic radiation attack. The people familiar with the matter said the Kremlin didn't respond to a request for comments about suspected poisoning, and the investigation was organised by Christo Grozev, an investigating with the Bellingcat Open Source Collective, who concluded that a Kremlin team poisoned Russian opposition politician Alexei Navalny with a nerve agent in 2020. Mr. Grozev said he saw the images of the effects of the attack on Mr. Abramovich and the Ukrainian negotiators, but he added that examinations of the affected individuals couldn't be arranged in the western Ukrainian city of Lviv, though through which they were travelling, because these people were in a hurry to get to Istanbul. Too much time had passed for the suspected poison to be detected by the time a German forensic team was able to perform an examination. And he said it was not intended to kill, it was just a warning, Mr. Grozev said. And it goes on and it goes on, guys. I don't really know what to say, you know. I think I'm going to go and look into this a lot more. But it seems to me as if Roman's trying to do everything possible. I don't really see where he's put a foot wrong with regards to anything to do with the sale of the club, or with regards to the fact that the UK government put the sanctions on. Well, listen, we all know what the man's all about, and this is terrible, absolutely terrible, isn't it? You know. But I guess more will come out, guys. You know, tomorrow, tonight, in an hour, who knows? Let me know what you think, guys, because right now I don't really know what to think, to tell you the truth. But let us know what you think down below. If you've got any ideas about this. I mean, none of it, and I've said this all along, sits right with me. None of it, you know. But there you go. I'll speak to you soon, guys.